That's right. That's right.
Because again, if not, then
Well, right, it's going to sit there. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
literally going to sit there for years.
It's a building. Yep.
So yeah, that's what we're working on right now. We're excited about that. We're hoping to get that completed by first quarter of next year.
So let's talk some projected numbers on that. Like, what did you purchase that for?
So it's a little bit weird of a structure if you want to get into it.
Well, let's go, man. Let's go. So, I think a lot of people are really curious about this type of stuff, and with any bigger deal, sometimes you do have to get creative. Yeah. So yeah, let's hear it.
So me and my partner developed a good relationship with a guy out in Coatesville that owns like a lot of units. Like, he's fully embedded in Coatesville. He has a lot of pull in some areas. And he has a lot of these bigger buildings, in a portfolio that he raised money for and he had a partner with, but that partner, got bought out and things happened. And, so like he got left with it, which he wasn't really expecting either. So he's like, crap, like now I have like all these buildings that are vacant that my partner was supposed to like really take the reins and like, start like rehabbing these things and getting them up and running. But now it's all on me. So he has only so much bandwidth. So basically the handshake deal we have right now is just like, we're going to, he's going to basically pick some buildings and we're going to basically try and help them whatever way we can, whether it's raising more capital, managing the construction, getting crews in there and getting it up and running. And then we get, partial equity in the real estate and also the operating company that we developed together to operate that space. So right now, the way that the deal is structured is he owns it in his LLC. Me and my partner are going to raise the capital to deliver this venue space.
So all of the renovation costs, engineering costs,
most of it. So he has a line of credit on the building that we'll use up, and then like we're going to raise the additional capital.
Okay.
Then so that's just going to be a promissory note that he's going to personally guarantee.
Okay.
Now I'm perfectly fine with him personally guarantee it because I know he owns so many assets that have a lot of equity in them. So like it's not very risky for me and my partner to like raise that capital like for that project.
Sure.
And we're also going to help deliver, manage the construction of it. So with those two pieces, we get, a percentage of the equity of the real estate of the rectory and the church, and also a piece of equity in the operating company.
Okay.
So, for us, really, I feel like lately, like what I've been trying to kind of like think about is like, I feel like the ultimate goal as an investor in any facet of, the industry is to limit your risk, get into things that you can limit risk, and then the potential is, more. So it's like your risk is here, but your potential's up here.
Sure.
So like how I viewed this project. I'm like, okay, we're raising this amount of money to get the project done. It's going to be personally guaranteed from a guy that we know, like, and trust, and that we know he has the money and assets.
Huge. Yep.
So it's like, okay, like that money, is really like not like risk of like being defaulted. And we just invest a little more of our time to deliver the space and get the construction done and find an operating partner. And we work on that all together. So I'm like, the risk is like very limited because it's like we have this personal guarantee on this note, but the potential could be 10x if we find a great operating partner and like the demand's like wild for like the venue space and
so
like
I hate that word if. What happens if you don't find a great operator? Does that mean you become the operator at that point?
I mean, I think that's a game time decision at that point. It could be like, okay, the space is delivered. The only note we have on the property is our note with the JV partner. So it's like, I guess that would maybe be his decision. Like, okay, do you just want to keep making payments on this note while we find an operating partner? Or like, do you want to just now like, just dive in and just like try to like get some business rolling you know, with our efforts? So don't really know the answer to that question completely.
That's okay.
Yeah, I would say, but again, for me and my partner, The only risk is him just not making those payments.
Sure, but nonetheless, that is a risk.
Of course,
that's a risk.
So in my eyes, in my relationship with him, that risk for me is very low,
worth taking too.
And then this potential is much higher. So like that's the projects I'm gonna try and find.
Yep.
In the near future with him, like those same types of formats, because in my eyes, it's just like that's how you can really like find that game-changing deal in a sense where like you limit that risk like that. So
what would make this deal be like freaking fantastic? And so wait, how much is the rehab, the conversion going to be altogether? Like, what's the note going to be?
So he has 100,000,
500, 700.
No, not that much. It's pretty straightforward. He has a note for 100,000, a line of credit for $100,000
against the property now.
So that we're going to use that initially for the rehab, and then we're raising another 200 to 250 grand, depending on what it is. So we're thinking around like 350 for the total renovation.
What are the taxes on that?
The taxes,
actually,
right
that's
now,
interesting because they're probably nothing right now because it was a church and now it'll get reassessed.
Yeah, but they
right?
are. No, it already got reassessed. It's like I think it's just below 15,000.
Okay.
We already have them in the appeal process, though.
Okay. What do you think it'll get appealed to?
I would hope around 10.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
Okay. But so like debt service plus principal, interest, taxes, and insurance and everything, once completed, what are you looking at? Probably around like $4,000 a month?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
$4,500 a month? Yeah. I'm terrible with mental math. I pulled that out of my ass.
Yeah, so again, the note, the note that we have is at 9%. So again, I don't know exactly what that monthly payment is, but
that's okay.
And then the line of credit payment, honestly, I don't know what interest rate. I'm assuming it's around there too.
Sure.
How line credits are now. So $300,000 at 9%. Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at, I don't know, somewhere in the mid twos for that, and then plus taxes and insurance. So I would say like four grand is probably a good guess.
And so right now, what is the plan? Like once it's up and fully functioning as an event space, like what do you project it could bring in any given month?
That's a fun question because I don't have experience in the event space.
Sure.
So really what the way that we just analyzed the deal initially is what could the operating company kind of afford as a monthly rent payment?
Okay.
So we were thinking around 5,000 a month.
Okay.
Now, I guess in order for the operating company to be profitable, you obviously have to do, X above that.
Sure.
But again, we're going to have control over the operating company. So it's we're going to have control on both sides. So it's really what we decide. It's do we want the operating company to make more money, or do we want this real estate to be valued more? Because you can charge as much as you want on the lease.
Sure. And
then bring that to a bank and get the building valued at a higher valuation. So I don't, again, I don't have a direct question for that because I don't have very experience in the event space. But the idea is to basically it's a 24-month note. So when those 24 months is up, is to do a refinance event.
Okay.
Whatever that looks like, with the building, and do a cash out for, the operating partners, which is all three of us, because he'll have his line of credit still and we'll have our, note that's going to become due. And then, what the numbers look like from there can range from, we could have the lease at 10,000 a month if the company's doing great, the venue company's doing great,
right? Or
it could be less if it's not doing so great.
So you have to have some projections as to what it would be able to rent out for in one single night event, right? What is that number like? Is that $1,000 per event type of thing? I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
So what we use the example of like theme nights, and like the way like we want to use that is like basically the way that we think we're going to make most of our money is on the food and beverage. So that's the way that we think we're going to make most of our money.
Okay.
So we still have to have those conversations, and we're talking to a company right now about that. We're actually meeting them next Thursday at the event space to like talk more about that and like kind of like what those numbers look like, and like because like they have experience in that. So it's AMA Brewery, you know, they're in Coatesville.
Okay.
So like they have experience in those facets of like delivering food and beverage, you know, to events, like, you know, in that capacity. So event wise, so like I said, let's say it's like a theme night, you know, let's say it's like, you know, whatever, open karaoke night or whatever.
Yep.
You know, you get a cover at the door, you know, it's whatever, $10, you know, or $20 or whatever. And that includes like one free drink or something.
Okay.
And then, you know, you go in, you get a free drink, and then the rest of the drinks, you know, are obviously just paying the cost.
That just added another thing. Like, does that mean you need a liquor license?
Well, that they have a brewery license. So basically with a brewery license, you can deliver PA liquor. So what that means is like any liquor that's like a PA company. So like Stateside Vodka.
Interesting.
You could deliver Stateside Vodka. You got to find a PA tequila company that you can do.
Interesting.
So you
Okay.
can't just,
All
it's not
right.
a full blown out liquor license. So the brewery license allows obviously any beer and facets, like their own beer.
Got it.
But
and that allows
PA
them
liquors.
to kind of resell anywhere. Like if they set up a tent at an event or something.
Correct.
Like, okay. Interesting.
Correct.
Didn't know that.
Correct.
Very
So yes, so they have that already in place, you know, and that's value in itself.
For sure.
So selling that stuff and then that's really like where we think we're going to make the money. But again, like, you know, it's just really the biggest thing is getting the promoter like in place and then like setting up like costs. It's like, okay, you have experience in this. Like, how much are we charging for a birthday?
Yep.
How much are we charging for a fundraiser? Like how much, like, cause like what are the factors that go into that? That's the experience that doesn't come from us. That comes from the manager that we're going to hire.
Yep.
So we got to find that person, and we'll have more projections in that facet. So I know it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about the project.
I understand.
Because it's like we don't have legit projections yet, but at the same time, it's like
What you know is that at the amount that the debt service, principal, interest,